Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Reverend Elizabeth. And Reverend Elizabeth has a question that some may find controversial, both in the question itself and in my answer to it. But I think it's an important question, so I'm going to go forward with it. And Reverend Elizabeth asks my opinion on the subject of blood sacrifice, and whether any deity needs blood sacrifice, and if a deity that needs blood sacrifice is actually a deity. And in my opinion, no deity does need blood sacrifice or ever did. It is a cultural practice which fulfilled a number of cultural roles, not least of which in some of the cultures that formerly practiced blood sacrifice, or still do in some parts of the world, it was often the only occasion for slaughtering an animal and consuming meat, which was important to their diet, regardless of the fact that some people feel it isn't. But for the subsistence farmers of most of human history, it was a very important supplement that they were not necessarily going to consume without a religious reason. Now, why do I say that no deity requires this, or ever really did? Well, my answer to that is look at the deities. In modern Western paganism, most of the deities that are worshipped come either from ancient Egypt, or ancient Greece, or ancient Rome, with a number also coming from ancient tribal Europe. Almost all of these deities have one thing in common: they received animal sacrifices in the ancient world. A few of them, if you go back far enough, also received human sacrifices. Almost none of them receive these now, and yet their worshippers are perfectly happy with their deities, and the deities appear to be perfectly happy with their worshippers. It follows that while these practices may once have been followed, they cannot have been necessary if everything is functioning fine without them. Another instance is the God of the Bible. Jehovah or Yahweh, or whatever you may happen to call him, in the Old Testament required a large amount of blood sacrifice of animals. And yet, most of the people who worship this God today do not practice blood sacrifice for one reason or another. The God is perfectly happy, and the people are perfectly happy, or at least they appear to be. Therefore, it really cannot have been necessary in the sense of the God needing it. Now, whether this was a social necessity is another question, but that is in fact another question. We may come back to it in a moment, because I have one further category, and that is the famous Aztec gods. And the Aztec gods are famous for having had vast amounts of human sacrifice offered to them only a few hundred years ago. And most of their believers believed that their gods absolutely had to have these human sacrifices, or the gods would cease to be. Well, there aren't human sacrifices being offered to these gods today, yet they are still worshipped in many quarters. And they have not suffered from it. Their worshippers are happy, they are happy, and it follows that this could not have been necessary. So, is it necessary for any deity to have blood sacrifice? In my opinion, no. And I would say that we have seen it demonstrated by these cultural changes. Was it necessary at the time for these animal sacrifices, or even human sacrifices, to be offered in the context of their cultures? Again, that's a different question, but I can see some contexts in which it may have been desirable, including the one that I mentioned, being the occasion for most poor people to have meat on their table when they would otherwise never have done so. It's also worth bearing in mind that the great temples, which were the recipients of large numbers of animal sacrifices, often distributed these through public feasts to people who would not otherwise have had this level of largesse. So I think that it actually played a role in food distribution in most of these ancient cultures. Is it necessary for the deity? Well, obviously not, because the deities are still here and the practice mostly isn't. And there are certainly people out there who are going to say, oh no, you're wrong, they have to have it. But you know, my examples are those I've given. And I'm certainly aware that there are some cultures which are still practicing animal sacrifice in a way they have done for millennia. And I have no problem with that, because it's a continuous practice. And again, I would see it as cultural. They would say that they believe their deities must have these sacrifices to survive. I would say that is obviously not the case, but again, it may fulfill other social functions which really aren't my place to judge. But do I believe a deity needs blood sacrifice of any sort? No, I really don't. And I think that, once again, the examples I've given, if you think about them, should support this point of view. So that would be my answer to the question. I hope you find it interesting, and until next time, may you blessed be. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis, and did you know that I'm also a psychic reader? For over 30 years, I have been a psychic reader specializing in tarot and clairvoyance, and if you would like a reading with me, you can set one up, either by phone or by email, by contacting me at donlewishp@aol.com. And until next time, may you blessed be.